think it's safe to say that Elon Musk has a very large brain and an even bigger pair of balls. Great combination, at least if your goal is to have a big, meaningful impact on the world without being bullied into submission by your haters, many of whom, in fact, possibly all of whom, lack those two very large assets themselves. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The thing that cowards hate most to see displayed in other human beings is courage, something that Musk has in abundance. The thing that cowards don't recognize about the courageous is that they can't be bullied into submission. They can't be intimidated. You back somebody courageous into a corner, they're not going to cower like you would. They're going to come out swinging. The relentless attacks on Musk only serve to strengthen his resolve. Check out this latest interview with Lara Trump.
Elon, a year ago, right now, you were praised by the media. You were championed by the left. Most people in general had a very positive view of you. And a year later...
Wait, has that changed?
Yeah, it's changed a little.
What?
So tell me what the last year has been like for you.
Well, it's not been boring, that's for sure. An eventful year, to say the least. At least I didn't get shot, you know. Look on the bright side. But we have had people shoot up Tesla stores and burn down Tesla cars. I wasn't expecting that level of violence, really. I mean, there's obviously been attempts to sort of boycott Tesla and my other companies and basically put whatever pressure they possibly can on me and Tesla and to some degree my other companies. And I guess that's what happens when you go after waste and fraud, because the people that are receiving the billions of dollars of waste and fraud want to keep receiving it. The people doing the bad things want to keep getting the money. And you're necessarily dealing with an unsavory group that is, since they're doing illegal things already and we're stopping them from doing illegal things, obviously they're going to do bad things to me and to my companies. Somewhat inevitable, I think.
Do you regret doing what you've been doing?
Now, I have not yet seen this interview, but I have seen the title and the topic. And I know what's coming right now. Lara Trump about to ask Elon Musk, do you regret having a pair of nuts and being courageous and doing what was right? Of course he doesn't. Watch how he responds, because this is how somebody with courage in spades deals with attempts at intimidation from cowards and bad actors. The fact that any of these fuckfaces thought their attempts to stop Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency would be effective just shows how few brain cells they have to rub together between them.
Regret coming out and supporting President Trump?
Yes, no. Cut that part.
I hope not.
No, I think it was essential for President Trump to win to ensure that America remained great, and that we reached greater heights. Really, some very basic things need to happen. We need to have, obviously, a secure border. We need to have safe cities. We need to have sensible spending. I think...
Oh my God, what crazy extreme ideas from Elon Musk, which is actually the current narrative from the leftards right now. I mean, these are reasonable things, right? Safe cities, secure borders. It's pretty simple. Musk wants to usher in an era of safety, opportunity, and prosperity in the United States. Who would oppose that? It's worth wondering.
If President Trump had not won, I think the Democrat campaign to import vast numbers of illegal voters would have succeeded. And they would have naturalized vast numbers of illegals during the sort of Kamala regime. And they would have turned America into a one-party state from which we could never escape. Some people out there may be somewhat skeptical. They may think, well, that there isn't some Democrat plan to subvert democracy and achieve a permanent one-party, deep blue socialist state. I assure you, the more you research it, the more you will see it is true. Biden was simply asleep at the switch. He was ineffective regarding illegal immigration. No, he was highly effective at ushering in millions of illegal immigrants with a specific game plan to naturalize them and ensure that there would be no swing states in America anymore. Often the margin of victory, there will be 20 or 30,000 votes. So if you bring in 200,000 illegals, which will overwhelmingly vote for the Democrats, then...
Especially if you welcome them in, put them up in luxury hotels in major cities after flying them there at the expense of US taxpayers, and provide them money and resources for food, whatever other needs they may have, based on typical human behavior, they are probably on average more likely to vote for the political party that literally rolled out the red fucking carpet and put them up in luxury hotels and then paid them money for living costs as well. Just saying. Now, Musk has an important point here. You hear this. It's the first time you've encountered this. You go, nah, there's no way. That's insane. What a conspiracy theory. But as he points out, the more you look into this, the more you realize this is exactly the fucking game plan. Illegal border crossings are down now like 99.9+%. Not kidding, by the way, since the Trump administration. No new laws were necessary. Simple enforcement of the existing border policies. And I mentioned in the past, the flood of people into the United States illegally during the Biden administration was not an accident. It wasn't the result of incompetence. It was by design. The more you look into this, the more ridiculous, absurd, and unbelievable things are. And I think that's why so many people are dismissive. Well, there's no way they could possibly be importing millions of future voters and then fast-tracking them, put them up in luxury hotels, giving them spending money, and then intending on naturalizing them and making them be able to vote in future elections a few years from now, so Democrats will win every election ever in the future. There's no way they would really do that, would they? Yes, that's exactly what was happening. I challenge you, if you disbelieve, look into it. It's just so outrageous, it's hard for a lot of people to swallow. But then again, if this were 20 years ago and I told you there would be people violently arguing, and I mean literally violently, that men who think their women are women and that it's totally fair and reasonable for men who think they're women to be competing in women's sports, whipping out their meat club in women's bathrooms, that there'd be a entire industry built upon mutilating and sterilizing children, requiring permanent lifetime care, probably $1 million+ of revenue per patient. You would say there's no way that would happen. Come on, that's insane. That would never happen. And yet, hello, welcome to 2025.
That swing state becomes permanently blue. Then you have the House, the Senate, the presidency.
When did Elon Musk finally say, you know what, I feel like something is really grossly wrong with what's going on in this country?
Well, I started having concerns about 3 years ago, but they were sort of, I just had like an uneasy feeling. Something doesn't feel right here. The censorship was becoming ridiculous. I had the most interacted with account on Twitter before the acquisition, so I was very finely attuned to what the algorithm was showing me or not showing me, and who got suspended or didn't get suspended. Twitter was being run at a very far left basis. When I felt the censorship walls closing in, I was like, okay, I got to do something, and the thing I can do is acquire Twitter and make it a bastion of free speech.
Forever grateful to Musk for doing this. It was very funny at the time. A lot of money managers, supposed experts, those in the finance media freaking out. What is he doing? I don't understand. Why did he spend the money? Oh my God. They just don't get it. Musk is like, bro, asteroid hurtling toward Earth, need to do something. Hello, asteroid. I'm gonna try and stop the asteroid colliding with the planet. Everyone's like, there's no asteroid, Elon. Oh my God, don't buy Twitter. Oh my God, don't do that. They just don't get it. Probably still don't get it. I too was a victim of this insane censorship. On X, consistently, my account would be shadow banned. And one of a few things would occur. I'd share an opinion like, oh, I don't know, mutilating, sterilizing children is not a good idea. It's not cool. You shouldn't do that. Next minute, you couldn't even find my account if you search for it. Like, type in my username, Stephen Mark Ryan. Search, no results. My account would disappear for a week. Alternatively, I get massively demoted. The reach on my account would go close to zero. I get put in a little timeout in the naughty corner for saying something that was true but went against the far left agenda. Kind of funny considering that Twitter, when it was first founded, was based on the principle of free speech. But it wasn't just Twitter. It was all social media companies. On YouTube, until Musk had acquired Twitter, you could get insta-banned for asking a particular question about a particular outcome of a particular thing that occurred in an allegedly democratic country. There are a bunch of crazy, insane policies, actually, and some of which I still can't really say out loud because I might get in trouble from YouTube. I had to dance around all sorts of topics. It was crazy. A lot of this insane censorship has started to be unwound, and the only reason is due to pressure from X, formerly Twitter, after Musk's acquisition, because suddenly it turns out that if you don't unilaterally censor people with certain opinions and actually allow people to discuss and share ideas, the world doesn't end, and users actually want that and will gravitate to that platform. So out of desperation, YouTube, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, all of these platforms now started to roll back some of the insane censorship. They're still not all the way, just because Musk has proven this is A, what users want, and B, if they don't follow suit, they're going to lose a massive amount of users, and their business will suffer. Make no mistake, YouTube, Facebook and the like haven't started to roll back some of their insane censorship policies because it's the right thing to do, but because they're losing business to X. And had X not been acquired, game fucking over, bro. I do want to remind everybody, prior to the 2020 presidential election, a big news story broke. What laptop? all the social media companies, Twitter is the most egregious example. You could not even share a link to an article discussing a real physical object that was discovered. Some very incriminating emails that directly implicated one of the presidential candidates prior to that election. We've been over this many times. And then, of course, there was the whole scamdemic. Ask a question, get banned. It's actually one of the many reasons I called it the scamdemic, because YouTube algorithms were automatically looking for the actual descriptive word of the thing, and if I said that, they'd know I talked about the thing, and then I'm in trouble, so I'll just call it the scamdemic because I'm 400,000 steps ahead of the dumb fucks at YouTube trying to censor everybody. P.S. Always be playing 4D chess. So again, this whole censorship regime, this was an asteroid hurtling toward Earth. If Musk didn't intervene, we're fucked. Some people today still just don't understand that. That's totally fine. But this was round 2 in supporting Trump. If he didn't intervene, that's another asteroid hurtling toward Earth. Big fucking problem. And for those of you who think, well, it only applies to the US, no, the US sets the tone for the entire West. Oh, by the way, speaking of, I'd just like to say briefly, rest in fucking peace, Germany, Canada, and Australia. The biggest facepalm of all time, bro. Don't get me started. Talk about some Stockholm Syndrome. Anyway, back to the interview.
And that's what we're trying to do with Twitter. Like, no one on the left has been suspended, but we did unsuspend people on the right. And, let the marketplace of ideas win. And then once we unlocked Twitter from being censored, then we started to see what was really going on. And I became increasingly concerned. I'm like, wait a second, I'm seeing videos of people streaming across the border on Twitter, now X. I'm like, and I was like, is this real? So I said, well, I'll go to the border myself. So I went to Eagle Pass, Texas, and sure enough, people streaming across the border. And I was like, so is there any vetting of these people? Like, no, the Biden administration is letting them all in. And I said, well, but some of these people clearly have criminal affiliations. Like, they literally have the criminal affiliation tattooed on their face. The left is kind to the criminals and cruel to the victims, which is not empathy at the end of the day. If you're a high trust society and you bring in low trust or untrustworthy individuals, that's now you've got a fundamental breakdown in the system.
Recipe for disaster.
A recipe for disaster.
So it sounds like...
The question is, was the Biden administration intentionally preparing the ingredients for a disaster, baking the food for a disaster, or is it just a total magical accident?
For you went through these moments of actually seeing things firsthand for yourself. So you had these moments leading up to really coming out on the stage October in Butler, Pennsylvania with President Trump.
You just can't have a country like this. I supported Obama. I gave the maximum donation to Obama. Actually, we had a pretty good relationship. When Biden was elected out, I guess most moderates that I knew, they thought it would be like a milquetoast version of Obama. And then it's like, we get the most radical left, crazy administration ever. With and Biden is actually non-compos mentis. President Autopen, basically.
Which was also by design. I mean, I'm on the record. I was having discussions with people privately as well. Prior to Biden's election in 2020, I could already see his brain wasn't working, asking friends, what if Biden wins? But that was by design. The Democrat Party wanted a blank slate, an empty face, a vessel to front the party but not actually be doing anything behind the scenes. It's the best way for them to execute their agenda. Have a senile old man suffering from clear and obvious cognitive decline prior to his election as the face of the party who's not actually making any decisions. Not an accident, by design.
Biden was President Autopen. Whoever controlled the Autopen, the teleprompter during the Biden administration, was the real president. If a reasonable person who's open-minded was exposed to the same information that I was exposed to, they would end up at the same place that I ended up.
You grew up in South Africa. You lived during a period of apartheid. I'm sure you've seen a lot of horrific things. So to be called a Nazi by people, to be made out to be this monster, that must be really hard for you.
It's a relentless propaganda campaign, which obviously President Trump has experienced for a very long time, 20 years, maybe longer. And politics is a blood sport. So they're going to come up with whatever attacks they can to destroy the public perception of someone. Now,
this is true. And it creates a very, very strong dividing line between those who actually care about what the public in general think about them. Shout out to Patrick Bateman, aka Gavin Newscombe, Justin Trudeau, etc., who will say and do whatever they believe is necessary to gain the overall approval of their constituents and or the general public and or at least the narrative being painted by the media of what the public wants. Another great example would be Kamala Harris. Versus those who have enough of a spine, enough courage and conviction to not give a flying fuck about the narrative and instead about doing what's right. This separates the virtue signalers from those who actually have virtue. The ability to keep marching forward in the same direction while people are throwing insults, hurling accusations, defaming. That's true courage, something many, possibly most people lack. And as I said earlier, those who lack courage hate to see that trait appear in others and are so dumb they don't understand. Somebody who truly has courage, you're not going to be able to push them off center, intimidate them or scare them into compliance. Somebody with real courage, you back them in a corner and they're just going to come out swinging even harder. And it's important to note, Musk knew this stuff would be coming. He knew the arrows would be coming. By Twitter, he knew the attacks would be coming. He called it a while ago. Watch their dirty tricks campaign unfold. Endorsing Trump, the same thing. He knew these attacks would come, but he's got courage, so he acted anyway. And here's a controversial statement. The good thing is I don't care about offending people. Fancy that. I've yet to see a single person who has a strong visceral hate for Elon Musk who is not also a coward. I mean, I'd love to see the one exception if anybody can come up with one. Right? But I've yet to see one. Seems to be a recurring theme. Self-hatred, possibly resulting from cowardice, project out onto Elon. Funny that.
Obviously, I've not harmed anyone in my life. They've also called President Trump a Nazi, but he also is not a violent person, and in fact has done a lot to prevent wars and stop wars, which is the very opposite of being a Nazi, actually.
Right. Ironic how that works out.
Yes, but it is disappointing how well propaganda works.
Yeah.
This, unfortunately, is true. It's really disheartening, and I sincerely mean that. How easy it is to create a narrative, a false narrative about a person, to paint in any light you wish, a target, through repeated and relentless propaganda. How easy it is to program NPCs to believe certain things, to hate certain people, to oppose certain ideas, to comply, to obey. I genuinely mean, this is one of the most disheartening things, probably the most disheartening thing I can think of. And I mean this, because somebody who's a victim of propaganda, of having opinions of NPCs distorted to form negative perceptions, they're a victim of attacks that they can't defend. We saw 5 years ago during the scamdemic how easily people were propagandized into becoming petrified, suffering from such severe fear-induced brain damage that people would stop talking to family, disinvite them to Christmas, bully their friends, family, co-workers into submission, attack people. People went fucking insane. Lifelong friendships destroyed simply due to propaganda. I'm not sure if there's a solution to this, unfortunately. Humans are a social species. I think that we've evolved in general to conform to the beliefs of the tribe, lest we be forcibly removed from the tribe and are no longer able to feed and fend for ourselves. So I understand the evolutionary reasons, this herd mentality and how easily people are programmed to believe certain things if they hear it enough, blah, blah, blah. But man, it is disheartening. It really is. The worst part of all is propaganda so often creates the literal inverse perception to reality. Example, Musk, right? All he's doing is sacrificing his health, his well-being, sacrificing himself to try and be as useful as possible. Hasn't harmed anybody in his life, as he says, right? And what does he get for that? He's painted as a Nazi, a fascist, attack. There are people calling for his death. Insane. The same shit happened to Orange Man Bad. Trump trying to help. Relentless attacks from the hate stream media, resulting in multiple assassination attempts. It's crazy.
If you repeat a lie, the sort of he's a Nazi lie enough times, some people actually believe it. Especially people that still believe the legacy news. But they really are trying every angle to get me. They are doing character assassination.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
It shows that if what we were doing at Doge was not effective, they wouldn't care. But it is effective, and that's why they're trying every angle to put pressure on me and Doge to stop fixing the government.
Talk about your relationship with President Trump. You came to DC. People immediately said, oh wait, Elon Musk is in charge of things here. Very clearly President Trump is.
I do consider the president a friend. I think he considers me a friend, and we get along very well. I think probably if you asked us both the same set of questions in two different rooms, 80% of the time we'd come up with the same answer. Which is not to say that we always agree, but almost always agree. Getting rid of waste and fraud in the government and ensuring the rule of law is followed. We've seen just crazy things like the 20 million dead people in the Social Security database marked as alive, many of whom were receiving benefits. One person was 360 years old.
Wow, older than the country.
I think that would be a bit of a red flag, you know. They're older than America. You know, we found people receiving unemployment insurance with a birth date in the future. We found at the Small Business Administration that they're giving out loans to people as young as 9 months. So we're stopping things like that. We've actually found there's a lot of people who are federal government employees, they're active employees who nonetheless applied for and have received unemployment insurance.
While they're federal employees?
Yes.
Wow.
And this appears to be at least 100,000 people.
Wow. We know that you're finding all of this, but you're actually also simultaneously running several companies. What else are you doing, and how are you doing it, and where are you doing it? Are you sleeping? Are you traveling all the time?
This is a very difficult, that's why I made that sort of I'm wearing many hats joke. The cabinet was given the Gulf of America hat, I believe it was. So you see all the hats there, and then I happen to have a Doge hat. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll put a hat on a hat and prove to people that I'm wearing more than...
You really are.
I am wearing more than one hat. Even my hat has a hat. So it requires intense effort for, like I said, for about 3 months, which we're kind of at the 3-month point now. And then I can taper my time allocation, but still get things done. So... And I've talked this over with the president, so this is no surprise, or
if anyone knows about multitasking and getting a lot done, it's him.
Absolutely. He's very good at multitasking and getting a lot done in many different arenas. I also still have my little office, my cute little office in the West Wing, by the way. It's like comically small. People have taken photos of it and stuff. But I wanted it to be tiny. And even this office I use, but it's also used for meetings and stuff, so I try not to, use up a lot of space. In fact, I usually don't even have at my companies, I don't even have an office. I just walk around, talk to people, and have meetings.
That's how you know what's going on.
Yes, that's how you know what's going on.
Now, very famously, there was a story about you when you first came to DC, that you slept on a couch in your office. This is where the richest man in the world slept.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a piece of information that Elon's haters just simply cannot comprehend. Why would a guy that doesn't need to be suffering like this sleeping on a fucking couch and be sleeping on a fucking couch? There are many questions that Elon's haters simply cannot comprehend. Why would a guy who doesn't need to massively increase the risk to his safety sign up for multiple things that massively increase the risk to his safety? Why would a guy who could be retired on a beach sipping pina coladas continue to chew glass and stare into the abyss, signing up for more suffering and more pain? The actual answer, of course, is because he's trying to be maximally useful. But people who have some pretty severe self-esteem issues and also lack courage, they can't see reality. They can't see the obvious answer to this question, so they have to come up with a reason. Well, I don't know. Oh, Elon's trying to steal my grandmother's social security. That's why he's doing it. Such an easy litmus test to see whether or not somebody is able to think freely and rationally. Ask him, why would Elon be sleeping on a couch in his 50s when he's got hundreds of billions of dollars of equity in companies and could be retired right now? Why is he working his fucking ass off? A great risk to his safety. Why is he doing this? The only answers you'll hear from one of Elon's haters are pure cope, a projection of how they feel about themselves onto Elon. Well, there must be some nefarious reason, because I would never do something that would increase the risk on my life just to try and be useful and helpful. So let's conjure up a reason that would align with my traits, my personality, e.g. lazy, self-hating, pessimistic, hateful. Oh, he's doing it for selfish reasons. I don't know what they are, but obviously it's a selfish reason. He's trying to benefit Tesla and SpaceX somehow. Cope.
That's amazing. Why did you do that?
Well, I didn't really have a good place to stay at the time.
Wow. How long did you do that?
For off and on for a few weeks.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's the worst places to sleep.
How can you not respect Elon Musk? Oh, wait, I know the answer. If you hate yourself, you probably can't respect Elon Musk. But the man is courage personified. The fact that he's willing to sacrifice so much and massively increase the risk on his life as well, super inspiring stuff, and really is so disheartening how much anti-Elon propaganda is out there and how effective it is on the low IQ NPC masses.
Done so much to help people in this country. In North Carolina, after the hurricanes, you actually sent your Starlink satellites to help save people there. You had to rescue 2 astronauts when NASA and Boeing both failed. Now you're here in Washington, D.C., working alongside President Trump to try and essentially save our country. Has anyone said thank you to you for doing this?
Yes, some people have said thank you. So, in fact, a lot of people have said thank you. So there's like, I don't know, maybe 20 or 25% that really don't like me, and that is obvious because they're hanging me in effigy at these sort of protest rallies, and they're being very violent about it.
You got a lot on your plate.
Yes, I have a lot on my plate. Truly,
I will
it's crazy.
I will tell you this, there are a lot of people who have supported you by going out and buying Teslas. My parents
Oh, great. Well,
just bought their first Tesla to support you.
Trigger alert. The deranged leftards who live in a left-hearted bubble and also don't realise they live in a left-hearted bubble have left the chat. I thought the narrative was Elon's destroying Tesla's brand. He's turning off super liberal previous Tesla lovers. And that there's no counter side, no conservatives who are now buying Tesla specifically to support Musk in the face of all these crazy attacks. I thought there was only one side to this coin. How could it possibly be true that there are people who are going out and buying Tesla vehicles to support Elon Musk and his involvement in the Department of Government Efficiency, to reward his courage and his personal sacrifice? That's not what the mainstream media is telling me. The mainstream media is telling me that Elon's destroying Tesla's brand. Tesla sales are collapsing. No mention of the Model Y changeover. Trolling aside, there are many such cases of people on the political right, conservatives, and even people in the middle who are just like, you know what, these attacks on Tesla are outrageous. Doge is totally reasonable. I support it. I'm not a broke-ass motherfucker or a communist / Marxist / angry, butthurt, fatherless university graduate with an arts degree, and therefore I can afford to and will in fact buy a Tesla just to support Musk. Problem is, most of the mainstream media leans left, so you're not going to hear that.
I'd like to thank everyone who has supported, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So I'd like to thank everyone who's gone out there and support and bought a Tesla in support of Tesla and me. This is in stark contrast to the crazy people that are running down Teslas. It's like, it's not like an investment, it's like a child. The company to me is like, it's not just a bunch of money. It's a company that I've grown and nurtured for over 20 years.
What do you think, and what are you going to focus on in the coming years that you think could really revolutionize humanity?
Tesla, in a few months, will release unsupervised full self-driving. So the cars that people are driving right now, the cars that you can buy from the factory, will be driving around by themselves with no people in them.
Wow.
We would call unsupervised full self-driving. So there's literally no one in the car on public roads. We'll start that in Austin in a few months, in June. And then we'll rapidly expand that to the rest of the country. In fact, anyone who has Tesla now, if they try self-driving, it should work very well. It should be rare that you need any intervention. In fact, in the future, I think it'll be unusual to see a manually driven car.
Totally agree. And I'll take it a step further. Far enough into the future, it won't be legal for a human to drive a car on public roads. It'll take some time to get to that point, but eventually manually driving vehicles will be a very infrequent, rare recreational activity confined to private tracks.
It'll be like seeing a horse.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So in the future, it will be strange to see someone actually driving themselves in a car.
Yes.
And what about medically?
Tesla's also creating a humanoid robot, Optimus, which I think everyone is going to want. Because it'll be like, who wouldn't want their own personal R2-D2 C-3PO robot buddy? That will help you do anything you want to do. I think that's going to be a massive product. SpaceX is doing rocket launching and Starlink internet, and hopefully we'll build the technology to make life multiplanetary, to build a self-sustaining city on Mars. That's the goal of SpaceX. Neuralink is building brain-computer interfaces. The first part is called telepathy. It allows someone who has lost the use of their body to control a computer or a phone just by thinking.
Wow.
In fact, you can interact with a number of the people who've done this online right now. They're on the X platform. You can DM them, I think, and they'll reply by thinking. They're not typing anything.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then there's a second Neuralink device, very similar to the first one, called Blind Sight, which will enable people who are blind to see, including people who have been blind from birth.
Wow.
It'll interface directly with the visual cortex in the brain. And hopefully we'll be able to do the first blind sight implant in a human later this year. Within the next 12 months, I'd say I'm quite confident that we can do that. And then I also think it's quite likely, if not close to certain, that we'll be able to enable somebody who's has a severed spinal column to walk again by taking the signals from the brain, bridging them over the severed connection in the spine, and re-energizing the nerves past the point that's broken. Like, you can just think of it like some wires got broken, and if you can bridge the signals, your body will work again.
Amazing.
So yeah, there's some very exciting things on that front. Then there's AI with Grok, which have you used Grok?
I have.
Okay, it's very good.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's really fun.
You can ask for complex analysis of things, and it's going to get the answer right almost always. Mm-hmm. Speaking of AI, it's very important that AI be programmed with good values, especially truth-seeking values.
Sam Altman has left the chat.
This is, I think, essential for AI safety. Like, the most important thing we do for AI safety is to have a maximally truth-seeking AI. I can't emphasize this enough. Remember these words. We must have a maximally truth-seeking AI. And if we don't, it'll be very dangerous.
Final question. What do you want your legacy to be one day when you're long gone?
That I was useful in the furtherance of civilization. That I helped move civilization forward. Added to the store of knowledge and capability. That I helped understand the universe.
I think you're on your way. You're doing a lot for everyone here in America. You're doing a lot for everyone around the world. And for planets we haven't even visited yet. So,
thank you.
Elon, thank you for spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
How could anybody not respect and admire Elon Musk? Oh, wait, I know the answer. If they hate themselves, they're probably not going to be a big fan of Elon. By the way, I'm not trolling. It is the ultimate litmus test. Someone you know hates Elon Musk? Absolutely guarantee it is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Plus, has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.